On this video, we got the one and only Reach Records' brand new artist, the homegirl, Wande. So stay tuned. Yo, what's going on? My name is Ruslan, hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire people to live out God's dream. Funded by the Patreon. Shout out to the Patreon. But listen, we got the one and only, the first lady of Reach Records. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish there was like an air horn or something. Give it up for Wande one time. How you feeling?
Yo, what's up? I'm feeling great. I'm just glad to be here talking to you. So.
You just finished smashing the stage.
Thanks.
Listen, Wande is amazing because you're like one of my favorite people to see bubble and rise.
Oh wow.
Like to I think, when did we meet I remember like vividly hanging out with you at South by Southwest 2018.
Yeah.
I don't know if we met before that or not.
I think there was a time I was randomly in LA and then it was like me, you, and John Keith.
Yes, we went and had lunch after that Lecrae pop-up shop. Yeah, so that was super cool. Tell us about where you're from, because I feel like our stories are similar. Tell us about where you're from. Tell us your story. Who is Wande?
Yeah, so Wande is a very complex individual, but my family heritage ties back to Nigeria. That's where I was born. And then as a child, basically, we immigrated to the United States and then started my little USA journey of just growing up in these streets. And so basically, like, that's kind of how it came. It's really interesting because, like, I have, like, the whole culture coming home, but then American culture at school. And so it was a really interesting, complex thing, but I think it's dope because then it helps you appreciate the world, and you see multiple perspectives that many people just were never exposed to. So,
so born in Nigeria, where were you raised?
I was raised in Austin, Texas. So
So South by Southwest world.
South by Southwest club.
Have you gone back?
To Nigeria?
Yes.
So I got to go back in 4th grade, and so that was very interesting. I was grateful because I can understand the language Yoruba, which is my native tribe.
Right.
And so going back, a lot of them were like, oh, these Americans, they can't understand us. We're going to finesse them. And then I'm like, I can understand everything you're saying right now, and no, you're not going to finesse me. And so it was pretty cool just going back and seeing it. I think one thing I want to do is like probably within the next year or so, like go back like as an adult. Yeah. Because I think viewing it will be completely different. Like it's almost like watching a TV show. Like things you don't pick up as a kid, you pick up as an adult. Like wow, they're putting these things in here.
Yeah,
so.
That's so dope. So did you feel that tension culturally? Because I grew up and it was two different worlds. Like I'm originally from the former Soviet Union / Azerbaijan, which used to be a part of the former Soviet Union. So I grew up like Russian, like super Russian, super Armenian, and then it was like hip hop and like this whole like. Did you feel that tension growing up, and how was that?
Yeah, definitely. It's two different worlds. Like my parents really don't understand hip hop culture, but they're like, I mean, I guess if you're talking about Jesus,
right. It's cool. I guess it's cool.
I mean, I guess. And so. Yeah, it's just really interesting. Like I'm basically the one teaching my parents about this whole world. Like my mom, even when she listens to my songs, she probably doesn't really know what I'm saying. Right. She picks up on certain things in the choruses, but like a lot of times she's just like, yeah, go. She's like, I don't understand these American accents, but sure.
The accents. My mom always describes hip hop as all that boom boom bass. Yeah. Why do you get? Because they're like Russian music. I swear, like everything below like 150 hertz is just cut. So it's just like, why is it rattle? Why is it boom boom? So you come out here. You go to school out here. So I feel like you're as assimilated as I am as an immigrant. Do you feel like being an immigrant put a chip on your shoulder to, one, see the opportunity, and two, grind harder than Americans grind sometimes?
I think it's kind of like your parents put it in you. My parents would constantly tell me, like, hey, like, we came here to
give you a better life.
Put you on, get you a better life. So, like, I don't know, there's no room for mistakes.
Right,
there's no room for not being successful.
Right.
And so that definitely caused me just to grind because I'm like, I need to make my parents proud. Like, dang, like, and I look at my parents, I'm like, wow, you had to start all over. Like, America doesn't recognize, like, degrees. Like, my mom had, like, a whole chemistry degree and stuff like that. Whoa. And she had to start all over to become a nurse. And so it's like, if my parents can come here at a young age and start their whole life over, like in their around 30s, like, and still be popping, like, then I basically have no excuse to be lazy. Like, I'm set up with the resources and stuff.
Yeah, I'll be 35 later this year, and I couldn't imagine uprooting my entire life in my late 20s, early 30s, moving to another continent, another country, and starting over, and what that takes. But yeah, like, did you think that pressure, is it fair to call it pressure? Like, do you think that pressure was healthy, or do you think it was tough to navigate that?
I think there's like, it can be unhealthy and healthy. So I think I relieve stress with comedy. And so like when my parents talk, I'm like, haha, yeah. So I think because I'm that type of person, it's helped me to not be stressed out. But I know some friends who, like, they're crying all the time, like, oh, I'm gonna disappoint my parents. I'm not gonna make them proud. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, just live your life. Like, do what God calls you to do.
Do your best.
Like, and they're gonna love you regardless, honestly, even if you do fail. But of course, they don't want you to fail. And so I think it's kind of like you have to just not let the pressure get to you, because it's just gonna crumble you, honestly.
Now the question everybody's asking, everybody's trying to figure this out. How did you become the first female artist signed to Reach Records? How did that happen?
Honestly, determination.
Okay.
Like it's God's favor, grace, and determination.
Okay.
I knew, like, God told me when I was young, like, hey, I want you to be a rapper and like do this for real. And then obviously, I, like, growing up listening to CHH, like, there's only so many labels to choose from. So yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna just keep grinding and keep doing this and like until I see it come to pass. And so basically it was just kind of just really determination. I know I had a lot of hard times, and similar to how you have a YouTube channel, I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos. Like, they actually really encouraged me. I used to watch some of my favorite artists when they were at my stage and, like, talking about, oh yeah, I just got signed, talking about, like, right before they got signed, and doing interviews. And I'd be like, wow, like, they all say the same thing. You can really make it happen if you just don't give up. It's like there's so many people who have opportunities, but most people give up before, you know, they
potentially before, right?
And so they're like, no, if you really just stick to it and just what you really want to do, the opportunity will present itself eventually. So you just have to have
How did the opportunity present itself? Because I feel like you kind of took an interesting step in where you were an intern first. Right? So can you talk about, just kind of tell that story?
Yeah, so even just with my college major choices, I was like, look, if this rapping thing don't work out, I'm going to be in hip hop somehow. So I majored in journalism and PR. And so, like, that way, like, hey, at least I'm going to be interviewing hip hop artists, or hey, I'm gonna be pubbing for you. And so that helped me get my internship with Reach. And then from there, I was like, hey man, if I'm in the dorm, I'm a
How did you bring that up though? Like, cause you came in as an intern.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually didn't bring it up, so I'm like kind of shy with it. But I was like, oh man, I don't want to be awkward, but I really want this to happen. But I just know, like, that's how life works. Things are gonna come up. You can't. No secrets are gonna stay secret. So I just kind of.
They didn't know you were an artist.
No, they didn't. So yeah, it's wild.
Cause I remember you telling me, like, yo, I got the internship with Reach, and I was like, yo, that's so dope.
Yeah. So
they initially, cause I knew you were an artist and I had seen you perform, but they didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know, and so it was perfect. So no, they didn't know. And so I just kind of just made sure I was diligent with my craft and diligent with getting my work done at work and being a great intern. And then from there, like, they're like, oh yeah, let's follow you on Instagram, see what you're up to. Oh snap, you're a rapper. Oh snap, this is actually really good.
Wow.
And it was funny too, cause like sometimes like people will make connections from people who maybe used to work there in the past. Like, oh wait, this person did bring you up a long time ago, and stuff like that. So like, it's just interesting. Like,
so was there like a moment though? Was there like a moment where you're like, you're there doing your thing, and then Ace hears a record and was like, yo, she could be the one, or Lecrae heard a record? Like, was there one thing that happened that was like, okay, she's not just an intern, she got it?
No, so like honestly, it was mind games for the longest time. like literally, like when
I'm not editing any of this out, just so you know. This is one take for real.
It's fine. No, it was literally like mind games. Like I literally, like, I talked about it in my show when I wrote I Gotta Live. I was talking to myself that, like, I'm gonna be a rapper even though these people are not checking for me. And I Gotta Live came out in December. So, and this is like, so this is really recent. And so, like, yeah, they really were not checking for me, like, for real. And I was like, dang, man.
It's such a no-brainer to me. Like, when you went over there as an intern, I was like, I think she could get signed there. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew you were dope, and I knew that was their heart. Like, I knew they really wanted to help put more females in positions.
Nah, it was wild, honestly, because I remember at one point they were like, hey, Wande, can you help us, like, because I worked in the A&R department, so they were like, can you help us find, like, dope female rappers? I was like,
they asked the dope female rapper to help you?
No, it was like hilarious, because, like, literally I was like, man, guys.
What did you say?
I mean, I had to just be humble and do my job. So I was like, yeah, sure. But I was literally talking to God like, you real funny, God. Like, you playing games with me right now.
Did you know in your spirit that you were gonna sign there?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, like literally, so like November, December, I was working on a mixtape. Like I was like determined, like I'm gonna make this happen even if y'all are not checking for me.
Yeah.
So I knew like in my heart, okay, God told me to be a rapper, but he never necessarily said, oh, with reach. So I was like, okay, you know, maybe God doesn't want me to be a rapper with reach, and that's okay. So I'm gonna just put in the work to put on my mixtape. I have these A&R skills now that I'm working for in the A&R
Because you're
department.
learning a lot too.
Yeah, so I was like, bet, I'm gonna just find these A&R friends. I'm gonna pitch my music to them.
Yep.
I'm gonna do well with my sales,
Yep.
and we're gonna make this happen.
Yep.
So, but then I got surprised basically in December, and then they hit me up like with a surprise meeting, and it was like, oh wait, this meeting is about you, Wande.
How cool! So there was
Yeah.
a surprise meeting. Who's all at the meeting?
The whole like executive team, like.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was crazy. Yeah, Ace was like telling me like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a meeting for RG. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And he's like, oh man, RG's running late. I don't know why.
What?
Yeah, and I'm like,
That's so dope.
yeah, and so I'm just sitting there like, I mean, it's cool, we can wait. Like,
Yeah.
and so he's like, oh, let's play your music to entertain us in the meantime.
For real?
Yeah.
So he's just trolling at this point.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I'm like, okay. And then the exec team comes in, they start dancing, and I'm like, that's weird.
Hold on. Who? So Ben.
Yeah, Ben, Katie, Marcus.
Okay.
Yeah. so
Lecrae.
he wasn't there that day because
Okay.
he had like something to do.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, basically they all come in and they start dancing, and then I'm like, this is really weird, and but I'm like, our company culture is still really chill, so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
Right.
And then so I thinking they're gonna dance and then leave.
Yes.
But then they dance and they sit down, and I'm like, why are y'all surrounding me right now? And then they turn off the music, and I'm like, okay, this is getting really weird. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then they turn on the television, and they're like, PowerPoint, and it's like a PowerPoint about Wande. And they're like, yes, Wande, we've been watching you for the past couple of months.
Wow.
And they're like, we really love your character. And, you know, Reese has been talking about we're trying to sign a new artist, and we just
Yeah.
feel like you embody everything we're looking for in an artist. You really love the
Wow.
Lord. You know,
Yeah.
you're humble. You got us coffee and stuff like that. Like,
That's so cool.
yeah, and then on top of that, your music is fire. So, like, you know, we'd love to extend a contract offer to you to be, like, the next artist signed to Reach Records. And I was like... And part of me, I couldn't even be excited in the moment because I was like, yo, they might be trolling me because we be playing games.
That would be terrible.
That would be really
That would be
terrible.
the worst.
Yeah, but like part of me was like, yo, they might be trolling me, so I can't even be. I was looking like, is this real or is this like a joke? And then they're like, no, we're being really serious for real, for real. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And so that's basically how it happened.
And the rest is history. Talk about how multifaceted you are. I love just even in the way you're talking, you're like, I have A&R skills. I went to school for journalism. All along in your spirit, you're feeling God's telling you to be a rapper. He's not telling you how, he's not telling you the when and all the details. So many people want to box themselves in. And what I appreciate about you, Stephen Malcolm, this new generation is you guys aren't afraid to get in and just do whatever it takes. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think you gotta do that because, like, honestly, I think whenever you just stick to one thing, you're not creating value. I think that's one thing I've been learning from a lot of y'all too. Like, what value can you bring to the table? A lot of people want to just take. Like, give me a record deal. But it's like, okay, like, what are you bringing to my company? What kind of value can you give?
Yeah.
And so with me, I was like, okay, I can write. So let me write for your journalism company, and at least that's a way for me to talk to hip hop artists, gain knowledge from them that I can apply to my rapping while adding value to you, because of course you want to be interviewed and you want your stuff to be posted on the internet and stuff like that. And so similar to that too, just realizing the resources that are in front of your face. Like, I realized, okay, my school requires an internship. So if my school requires me to get an internship and my school has a decent name that could get me a
Get you in a good internship.
get you in a good company, then it's like, yeah, use these resources to basically get into the door and stuff like that.
So many people are weird about free work, right? They're like, oh, you do nothing for free, man. I'm valuable. Pay me, right? But I don't know if the internship was paid. I don't know how it works. But I'm assuming if it was paid, it wasn't paid a lot. But you were willing to go and do an internship, which got your foot in the door. And most importantly, the proximity of being around people that could change your life.
Yeah.
Like, talk about that fearlessness of not being able to do that.
Yeah, I think even a long time, like my mom, she always used to be like, Wande, like, why are you doing this? Like, doing these songs or blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, mom, trust me, it's going to pay off in the end.
Right.
And I think that's the approach that you have to have. Like, it's going to pay off in the end. Like,
Right.
sometimes relationships are more valuable than cash. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, relationships are what takes people to the next level, honestly.
Yes.
Even with jobs, like, you see people hire their children, people hire family,
their
friends.
homies, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's a thing. So, like, if somebody knows you, they're more inclined to help you out than if they just have no idea who you are. And so, yeah.
As a young woman of color, how do you feel like you add value and add to the conversation at Reach, but to the bigger Christian hip hop community?
Yeah, I think I add value just by being myself, because there's nobody in the room basically representing.
You're an anomaly.
Yeah, there's nobody in the room representing that voice, honestly. So it's like me just being myself in the A&R department for those couple of months. Well, I'm still in the department, but basically there was not a woman speaking into any of these decisions being made for any of these songs. And so like me just being myself can be like, I don't know about that. You probably gonna get backlash. Like a concrete example is like the Christmas project. Like like the initial thought was like, oh yeah, like let's do women inclusion. Let's throw some women on the song on the project, and it's gonna be lit. And I was like, no, cause I actually talked to some of the women too that helped my mindset change, and they were like, no, cause if you just keep putting women on one song, they're never gonna be integrated into the space with the dudes. And like, so now when the dudes are doing songs with their friends, we ain't never got a song together. So it's like you need to have integration and not separation. And so stuff like that I was able to voice whenever they were like, oh yeah, we're doing this, like, don't you think this is cool? And I'm like, oh, it's
to make
nice
it because you're adding value in a way that as a dude, not because you're trying to be a chauvinistic dude, you're just not considering that your intent might actually come off like pandering, right? And so you're able to be the voice of reason and be like, hey, no, consider these details. You know what I mean? That's good. What advice do you have for that young artist that was maybe where you were at 3-4 years ago? They're on YouTube, they're watching this interview, they're inspired by you. Like, what is something we can leave them with, like an application point, so that they can advance their career, whether they sign a label or don't sign a label, stay indie or whatever? Like, what's an application point you have?
I would say just invest in your craft and in your character, because like those things will take you a long way. Like,
you said craft and character. Say it again.
Yes, invest in your craft and your character, because those things take you a long way. Like a lot of times, like now I'm doing shows now, and people are like, wow, but it's like because of the time I took when I was younger to invest in my character and like actually read my Bible, actually be a good person, and then invest in my craft. Now these things come easier to where I'm not pulling up to these shows and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And just even with your songs, like, it's great. Write your bad songs now when nobody's checking for you, because then
write your bad songs. That's a bar. Write your bad songs when no one's checking for you.
Yeah, because then like once you get the platform, the spotlight, you just banging out hits, and people are like, oh, how'd you do this? But it's from the practice. So like I would just say just keep working and working, because like you're gonna get better over time the more you do it. Honestly. We need to get your YouTube popping, because you got a lot of really good stuff to say, man. We can go on for hours. Is there any, like, a final thought, any final words you have for the people watching this? I would just say, if God tells you to do something, just have faith and just trust his plans, honestly, and leave it all in his hands.
There you go. Yo, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you guys are following Wande on all platforms, including Spotify. She has amazing music out and coming. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment. What do y'all think about this? Is this encouraging? Is this challenging? Are you working on your character and your craft? I want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much. Peace.